Welcome to Missing on Monday, where the details of a new missing persons case will be explored each week. Some of the content covered may be sensitive. Listener discretion is advised. Hey everybody, happy Monday.
I'm so excited that we're back. It is Monday, and if it's anything like my Monday, it is a Monday-ish Monday. Holy hell.
Well, and I mean, let's be real with our people. Technically, it's Wednesday for us today.
That is a fact. So this week, we are going to talk about Niqui McCown. Niqui is from Richmond, Indiana, and she has been missing, get this, 20 years. 20 years this girl has been missing. She went missing on July 22nd, 2001. She worked for a correctional facility in Dayton, Ohio, and she was a very dedicated worker. She actually wanted to be in the FBI, and she was actively taking criminal justice classes. Like, this girl was a go-getter.
Yes, and her fiance were planning their wedding. Why she's doing all these things?
That's so much. I just planned my wedding, and it was so much.
Could you imagine being in school for something like that and doing all this stuff? Anyway, so they were planning their wedding and they were actually getting married in a couple of weeks. In fact, the day that she went missing, her fiance was actually going to the mall with his cousin to get his cousin's tux fitted. So we're talking crunch time. While he was doing that, she was going to the laundromat. She had dropped her daughter off. She had a 9-year-old daughter. It was not her fiance's. Her fiance's name is Bobby. It was not his daughter. So she dropped her daughter off at her parents' house while she took the laundry to the laundromat. A lot of people, some people these days probably don't know. Did you ever have laundromat experiences?
No, I have never been to a laundromat.
I have been to the laundromat.
Oh, Lord.
Because you literally wash everything at the same time, throw it all in the dryers at the same time, and all of your laundry is done. Like, all at the same time.
I mean, I can definitely see the benefit in that.
So this is a typical Sunday. It was a Sunday, very typical Sunday shit. You're getting ready for the week. He's like tying up loose ends on the wedding side. She's doing the laundry, and they're getting ready for the week ahead.
Just being a boss bitch.
That's right.
So at some point, she did return to her parents' house while her clothes were drying. Normally, she would go to the laundromat with someone. It wasn't often that she would go by herself, that makes sense. I wouldn't go to the laundromat by myself either. This time she went by herself, but she did go to her parents' house and she showed up there pretty shaken up. She said there were a couple guys at the laundromat that were giving her problems. And her mom said, just go get your laundry, come back, and finish drying your clothes at my house. And Niqui said, no, it's fine. The clothes are already drying, and she just let it finish. And she left and she went back to the laundromat.
So around 4:30, Bobby returned home. Niqui wasn't back yet. He said immediately when he walked in the house that he noticed that her sandals were not by the door. Which is, I mean, you notice those things, like
something you would notice as a significant other.
Mm-hmm. The laundry wasn't there, and Niqi's purse and stuff was still at the bedside table.
Red flag.
Actually, no. It makes sense. You're going to laundromat. You're not going to take your purse and stuff because you don't want that. Like, you would probably like maybe have a coin purse or something like that you have like just the things that you need in. I mean, if the laundromat was a sketchy place, what if somebody takes your purse? It's just one less thing to carry. I don't know. Anyway,
this is my inexperience shining through.
Exactly. But also, it was normal. Nobody in her family nor Bobby knew that they didn't think that was odd. His thinking was just that she wasn't back yet. Then an hour or so passes, another hour, no Niqui. In the late evening, he starts to call around to her sisters to see if maybe she's there. Remember, this is 2001.
Many moons ago, even though it feels like yesterday.
Not everybody had a cell phone.
No, I didn't have a cell phone. Did you have a cell phone?
I did. Just got one in 2001. I was pregnant. And I got one because I was pregnant.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Jordan was born in 2002. He's almost 20.
In 2001, I was 11.
Okay. Not everyone had cell phones. So he is calling from his house landline to family's landlines. If we have listeners that do not know what a landline is, it is a phone that you cannot leave your house with. You just can't leave.
Novel concept.
I mean, it was a thing, if you broke down, that was it.
So Niqi's family and the police decided that they were going to wait to see if she showed up for work, because Niqui did not miss work. And if she didn't show up, that was a red flag. They know that something is wrong. So the next day comes along and her sister calls to see if she showed up for work, and she didn't. So now it's serious. The police understood the severity and they actually took it seriously. So the family starts posting flyers the good old-fashioned way by printing them off and posting them all around town. Because, remember, this was back before Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. You couldn't just post a photo of somebody who went missing.
Her family also got a hold of some surveillance footage from the handy store deli place. It was like a little Easy Mart type place, and it was right next door to the laundromat. So the footage was at 2:15. She was buying a soda. In the video, she seemed completely normal, and the police did investigate at the laundromat. Apparently nobody saw any alarming things happening, no arguments or disputes between Niqui and anyone else. So at this point, the police are thinking maybe she left her fiance, but her ID and everything is still at home. She also has a 9-year-old daughter. Like, you're gonna leave, you know what I mean? And she's a very dedicated employee, and it would be completely out of character for her to just not show up to work.
So the first thing that police usually do is look at the spouse. I mean, step one.
We all know that.
That's what we do. We, the collective we, as in the internet and whatever. So Bobby honestly wasn't looking good at this point. He actually called her college and was asking for any unused tuition. Like, he wanted to get her tuition back. I mean, are you kidding? What? Like, your fiance goes missing and your first move is, hey, let me get your tuition money. No. But her employer actually pays for her schooling. So there wasn't any tuition. There was nothing to be recouped. He also tried to return his wedding rings and get the deposit back. Sketchy. And then he canceled the wedding to get the deposits back. Her family was like, no, absolutely not. Her family went balls to the walls. And mind you, Niqui has 9 siblings. Like, they were not playing around. They went full force. So Bobby says that his only goal was to get Niqui back and that the wedding wasn't the most important thing, but having her back was the most important thing. And then they can worry about the wedding, yada, yada, yada. He said that he was trying to return things so that he could get a cell phone because of all the running around. It would be helpful to communicate, which, I mean, sure, that kind of makes sense. Like, yes, having a cell phone to communicate would be productive, but why are you selling your wedding ring and why are you trying to recoup your fiance's tuition? That's just weird. I don't know. I'm not buying that part.
It is so odd. Like, he was not doing anything to help himself.
Not at all.
And like that stuff happened within days.
Right. Like it wasn't even like weeks or months had passed. Like days had passed. And he was like, hey, let me get this money. Let me get this money.
So he did actually take a lie detector test and failed.
Shocker.
Well, the police say that they asked if he knew anything about her disappearance, and that's what he failed on. But Bobby says they asked if he feels responsible. And he's like, how could I not?
I mean, that's reasonable, I guess.
Yeah, you go back and forth a bit on it. The search efforts for her got pretty aggressive with her brothers. And apparently they would try to kick in people's doors if they heard any tip or anything. The police actually had to arrest a couple of them because they were getting so aggressive in their actions looking for her. I get it. They're not messing around. Where's my sister?
If you went missing, bet your ass I would be knocking on doors, pounding everything. There's no way. I get
it. Yeah. Well, and they're like, the police have other jobs. They're like,
we're going to get our one job. Yeah, we're going to go and we're going to get her. So 3.5 months later, her car shows up at a parking lot in Dayton, Ohio. And get this, her laundry is still inside the freaking car. It was folded in the basket and everything. So, for everybody involved, they're so excited because now they have the car and they can get answers and they have a lead. Things are getting hot, right? Not exactly, because there was no blood found in the car. There was nothing to go off of. And the car did not end up being the lead that they were hoping for. But the location was possibly.
So apparently there was a guy named Tommy Swint that lived about 1/4 mile from where they located the car. She had a complicated relationship with him. She used to work with him. And he was one of those friends that she looked at as more of a brother.
Oh.
Like he got friend zoned.
Dang it.
We've been there. I mean, I've been there. I'm sure you've been there.
I mean, I've friend zoned with you guys.
Yeah. And he definitely wanted more. So, it's kind of weird. Her sister states that a few years before that, she showed up at Niqui's apartment. This was before her and Bobby were together and engaged to be married. She showed up at Niqui's apartment and heard some commotion. So she went to the door, opens up the door, and Niqui is sitting on a chair. Tommy is leaning over her, and Niqui's feet were like back and up, like against him, trying to kick him off. And she yells at her sister to help, that he's trying to rape her.
Well, Tommy was not cooperating with the police, but they also didn't have any evidence against him. So their hands are kind of tied. They mark him as a person of interest. And at that point, there's nothing more that they can do. They can't get a warrant to get a DNA sample. They're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point. So in 2004, 3 years later, the family started working with an organization and came up with a $100,000 reward. That is a large chunk of change. Yeah. So it was offered for only 20 days, though. Her family was thinking if somebody did have information with that amount of money, it would pull them out of the woodwork. They would come forward and they would say something. But unfortunately, nothing came of it.
So everything kind of goes cold. Then August 30th, 2007, the police learn that Mr. Tommy Swint is connected to a murder of a different woman that was found years earlier. But also they found out that he had become an officer while he was a person of interest in a missing persons case.
Like a police officer?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Apparently that slipped through the cracks somehow. And his employer basically tells him, like, dude, resign or we're going to have to let you go.
Yeah.
So Tommy decides to resign. So it also gave the police a move to be able to tell Tommy, hey, if you don't have anything to hide, like you're saying, then give us your DNA. And of course, at this point, he kind of has to, since he's trying to make it out as if he was compliant from the beginning. So there they go.
So to back up a little bit, 16 years prior to this, there were some forest workers who found a body near Dayton. The police had gotten DNA off of a blanket that they found that the woman who had been deceased was wrapped in at the crime scene. So when they got Tommy's DNA from this slip and from his supposed compliance, and they put it into the system, they were actually able to come up with a match to this woman who had been missing 16 years ago. So this is great. The police are so excited, thinking they might be able to solve Niqui's case. They get a warrant, they go over to Tommy's to arrest him, and as the police are at the door, they hear a gunshot come from inside. Tommy had shot himself. He committed suicide.
And here we are 20 years later, still with a missing person case because
this coward of a man. You know, actually, just recently in July, Niqui's family kind of reamped the search for her, and they had a vigil for her. And, you know, as with a lot of missing cases, as soon as the media stops paying attention and as soon as eyes turn away from the case, it kind of fizzles out. There's not all this heat. There's not this pressure to get answers and to figure out what happened. And her family is not going to allow that to happen.
I think as much as they're not going to allow it, at one point in time when they were looking into Bobby, her fiance, they had completely shut him out of their life for obvious reasons. What if, you know? But since all of that happened, he has actually played an active role in Niqui's daughter's life, even still to this day.
God, yeah. I mean, Niqui's daughter, how old is she now? She's got a child of her own.
Yeah, she was 9 when it happened. I mean, and we're at 20 years, she's almost 30 years old.
Yeah, I mean, there's been several interviews of her daughter saying, you know, I have these memories of my mom when I was younger, and I just wish that she could have been there. It sounds like her biological father played a really huge role.
Unfortunately, the day before the 19-year anniversary of her mom's disappearance, her grandmother who raised her passed away.
And that was a huge blow. I mean, she already lost her mother, and her grandmother was a huge rock in her life. And this poor woman, has been through hell and back. And she's still out there trying to find her mom. She still believes that there are answers that somebody has. And, you know, her grandmother said to her on her deathbed, avenge your mother, find your mother, don't give up on her. And she hasn't.
Good for her. She's a strong kid. Well, if she's anything like her mom, I mean, this woman, she was a go-getter. So she gets it definitely probably from her. But there's definitely answers out there somewhere. At this point, it's really hard because it's like you don't want to look at Bobby anymore because there's this really heavy circumstantial stuff towards Tommy. And I honestly I feel like Bobby probably would not still be in her daughter's life if he did have something to do with it.
I did read that in 2008, Niqui's sister publicly revealed that Niqui was having a relationship with Tommy before she vanished. She had met him while working at the corrections facility, obviously. And on the day of her disappearance, she tried to contact her sister multiple times. And her sister thinks that she was trying to talk to her about the affair. And her car was found at the apartment complex where he lived.
At the time. So he moved in that time frame?
Yes. There's an article that says remains speculated to be Niqui's were found near Spencer, Indiana in November 2003, but DNA tests were inconclusive, so she is still officially listed as missing.
Well, if they were inconclusive, then I mean, this woman worked at a correctional facility and did all these things. She definitely had dental records and shit.
Absolutely.
So I think if it was inconclusive, it was not her.
This case is very odd. There's not a lot of leads. There's not a lot of information. There's really nothing to go off of. I mean, who knows what happened to Niqui? It could be any number of things, but what we do know is that her family is hell-bent on getting information and getting her back to them. So as always, if you have any information, please report it to your local authorities. And, don't be afraid to speak out.
Yeah, I think that wraps us up for this one.
I think it does.
So we do have some announcements. There's some exciting things coming.
We are going to have a Halloween special coming up.
We also have Feel Good Friday coming.
Yes.
I'm excited about Feel Good Friday. We live in a world that is so scary and has so much drama all the time. And I would really love to dive into cases that make you feel good. Hence, Feel Good Friday.
We will do it the first Friday of every month.
So you can start your month off on a happy note and then just be sad slowly throughout the rest of it.
All right. So also on a good note, Ashley's all moved in her house.
Oh my God. Yes, I am. And let me just tell you that OfferUp is a godsend. I spent a fraction of the money that I should have spent on all of the furniture that I got. And I am so exhausted. And my parents are going to be here tomorrow from good old down south Texas.
There has been so much crazy stuff going on. It's been very busy in our lives, especially Ashley's. I'm sorry, girl, but after this week, you get a break. You get
it's
a
all
chill.
gonna slow down. It's gonna be fine. Let me just tell you guys, we're gonna have a fantastic week next week. It's gonna be badass. We're gonna do all the things. It is fall. It is my time. It is my season. I am alive and thriving. I'm doing amazing. I don't care that my life is crazy right now. It's going to be fantastic. I love this time of year. I love the pumpkins. I have my pumpkin spice candle. I have my fall flannel Bud Light seltzer pack and my ugly sweater Bud Light seltzer pack. And let me just tell you, Bud Light seltzer, if you're listening and you're probably not,
go back to the original.
Go back to the original. I am requesting it. I am demanding it if I have that right and privilege, which I probably don't, but I think I should because I am a seltzer connoisseur and so is Candace.
This new holiday pack is garbage.
It's bullshit. And I don't.
You could keep Sugar Plum. You can keep Sugar Plum.
And also you can keep Seltzer Nog. Candace doesn't agree, but I like the Seltzer Nog. But also just give us a 12-pack of Apple Crisp for the love of God. Like, please. All right,
with you there. With you there.
Thank you. Like, I don't care about the rest. Pumpkin spice can piss off. I don't care.
I mean,
Crisp.
all of that, like the only one that I really liked, and it wasn't even really, it's not like I have to have it. It was the sugar plum. It was just like decent enough for me to drink. The rest of it, like,
it was so forgettable that I couldn't even remember the flavors when I was telling somebody about it earlier. So it's sugar plum, cranberry, seltzer nog. What's the other
cherry?
One? Oh, cherry cordial.
Yes, cordial.
Oh God. That was my grandma's
it's not good.
favorite candy at Christmas time.
No,
oh
and
my
it's
God.
fantastic
and they're
to
so
eat,
good.
but it's not to drink.
But what's funny is it does taste like cherry cordials, but it also tastes like it wants to be cherry cough syrup.
Also, you don't have to have an eggnog seltzer. Like I'm sorry, I know you like it, but dear.
Okay,
Lord,
don't come for my
nothing.
eggnog. Maybe we should have a poll on our Instagram about the eggnog seltzer.
Yes.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this week. It's been an interesting week, and we are excited to bring you all of the new and upcoming things that we have in store.
Yeah, and we hope that you tune in next week.
Yep, and we will talk to you then. Have a great week, guys.